Okay, so some of you might not know this, but there used to be a free demo mode in Minecraft for the Xbox 360 edition, and while you couldn't play the full game, you could play this fully custom built world that would change with each Minecraft update. But years ago, Microsoft stopped making these worlds, leaving them as a relic in the past. But I've been feeling a bit nostalgic, so I'm going to revisit each of these tutorial worlds to see how they've evolved, and hopefully get to the bottom of why these worlds got left in the dust. Starting from the very beginning with version 1. Okay, here we go. Press A to jump. Chop down 4 blocks of wood. Building a crafting table. The tutorial in version 1 is pretty basic and honestly boring, but the game won't let you leave the starting area until you complete it. After doing some basic tasks, it had me complete a partially built miner shelter to finish the tutorial, and this shelter became a staple in all of the demo worlds going forward. Once I got all the materials for the shelter, I got to work.
Tutorial complete!
The rest of the world is nothing too crazy. As soon as you go through the tunnel, there is a small custom built village with a few houses, a well, and the start of a mine, I think. Next to the village is a minecart, which takes you to a pretty cool little castle that has an archer tower, as well as a church slash library thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole map. There's also a tower on the water with some flames on top, and there's another small village on the other side of spawn. Now these villages look a little different than what we're used to, and that's because generated villages weren't in the game at this point, so 4J Studios had to create the villages themselves. So a little history, 4J Studios is a small developer studio known for porting games to different platforms. They did this with the Elder Scrolls 4, Banjo-Kazooie, and then in 2012, they partnered with Mojang to port Minecraft to the Xbox 360. And in addition to the main game, they made these tutorial worlds for new players. And I mean every single version, including version 2. Okay, version 2 of the demo is practically the exact same as V1, but there are some subtle changes that they made, like now in the spawn there's a little short section in the tutorial that shows you how to use redstone and pistons. Then at the castle there's what I think was a redstone bridge, but it got all messed up when converting to Java because I'm playing on a newer version of Minecraft. I don't know exactly what it was supposed to be, but I bet it was cool. And my favorite thing that they added was a nether portal. They hid it behind a secret door in the big Minecraft sign. Okay, I guess it's not really a secret when there's a giant lever next to it, but that's about the only changes in version 2. On to version 3. This time, we got a completely new world. It's nothing crazy like some of the newer worlds, but it's still a pretty big upgrade from the last, except for the spawn area. It stayed exactly the same. As for the rest of the world, I'd say it's a huge improvement. Right through the tunnel of spawn, there is a chest that contains a music disc, jukebox, a bow, and some arrows. This is the first of 12 discs hidden throughout the world, as like a fun side quest Easter egg sort of thing. And this feature quickly became a signature element for all future tutorial worlds. Once you make your way out of spawn, there's a minecart that leads you to the main village. This one's a lot fancier than the last. A lot of the buildings have multiple stories, and the structural design is a lot better overall. Once you make your way out of the village, there is a really cool cave temple, and at the top of the stairs there's another redstone bridge that unfortunately is broken like the last one. Inside there's a library and small bedroom on one side of the temple, and on the other side there's a nether portal hidden behind a stone wall. I couldn't figure out how to open it, so I just broke through. Besides that though, we do get our first generated village, because this is the update that brought them to the game. A lot of times whenever there's a new feature in an update, they always include it in the tutorial so people can get familiar with it. That's crazy to think about because I can't even actually remember a time where Minecraft didn't have villages in the game. This was actually a pretty big update, and they didn't stop there because there was an even bigger one in the next version of the tutorial. This tutorial world was a huge step up from the last because the update that came alongside it had a lot of new features. I'm talking enchanting, potions, XP, breeding, villagers, blaze. I mean, so much was added in this update, and the tutorial world was no different. This version of the demo was the one I vividly remember playing as a kid before I actually got the game. I distinctly remember being so mad that the game just wouldn't let you go into spawn until you finish the tutorial. Once you do finish the tutorial and leave spawn, there's a chest right in the middle of the tunnel, just like the last world, because like I said, it is a key part of these tutorial worlds, and every single one from this point has these discs. Right past it, there's a courtyard sort of area with a big castle in front. If you go left, there is a minecart that takes you to a desert temple with a dispenser that drops you an enchanted sword, as well as another disc. If you head back to the courtyard, directly on the other side is a farm. It has a small tutorial to show you how to breed animals, which is part of the new update, and also farm crops. In the main castle, there's a few more features the tutorial teaches you about. In one room there's a brewing station and another an enchantment table, a couple normal bedrooms, and downstairs is a pool of lava with a lever activated bridge. There's also another portal upstairs, though this one isn't hidden. Just when we thought 4J Studios was crushing it with these updates, they dropped Title Update 9. And while it wasn't a significant change for V5 of the demo world, it brought even more features to the main game. Like, I don't know, the Ender Dragon, as well as the end, obviously. As far as the tutorial world goes though, it didn't get much of a change. They moved some of the discs around and added some climbable vines. That's about it. After this update, there was a shift in direction for the Xbox 360 edition of Minecraft. 4J Studios was having to constantly update the game to try to keep up with Java Edition, and it really wasn't sustainable, so they needed to do something different. Around this time, Stampy uploaded a podcast discussing what they would do differently.
Apparently, they're going in a different direction. Apparently, I think after the next update, Mojang and 4J are going to kind of split, so instead of 4J just redoing what Mojang does, the Xbox edition's gonna just come up with its own updates, and 4J are gonna make their own things specifically for Xbox instead of just trying to keep up with Mojang.
I mean, if you think about it, they were already doing it because Xbox 360 edition did have some differences that Java would never get, like the tutorial world itself, skin packs, and later minigames. But the first real change in direction was present in the next version of the tutorial world. 4J added texture packs and mashup packs, which was a completely new feature Java Edition didn't have. The new tutorial world was more important in my opinion though, because 4J really started to up their game with this one. After completing the shelter, instead of a short tunnel, this time we have stairs that lead to a giant fortress. Before entering, there are 2 buildings with a brewing and enchanting tutorial. Then up ahead, the game shows you how to make iron and snow golems. Downstairs there's a redstone section as well as a small minecart. Down these stairs is the farm. Then if you head back up, there's the entrance to the fortress. A few updates ago, sandstone was added, so that is mainly what the fortress is made of. Each building is pretty basic. There's some bedrooms, a library, a room full of heads, and in this empty room there's a secret door that leads you to an underground water cave thing, which is pretty cool. There's also a creeper boat on the ocean and a mushroom island in the distance, which was added in this update too. And that's about it for this world. It's a lot cooler looking, but it's still relatively small compared to what's up ahead. But yeah, this one is definitely my favorite so far. The view of the whole fortress is super cool looking at night, and somehow they made sandstone look good, which is one of the ugliest blocks in my opinion. And it's even based on a real life castle in Scotland. On to the next one. Not a lot changed in version 7. The building at the top of the entrance stairs has quartz now, which was a brand new block in this update, and at the top you can trade with a villager, because you can trade with villagers now. On the other side of that is a little station that shows you how to use anvils, another new feature, and they also moved around the farm area. They have the secret door in the Minecraft sign from before, even though the nether portal is just in this house. I don't know why they did that, because it's just empty in the sign now. But that's pretty much it. Oh, they also added ender chests. Even though they didn't add a whole lot to the tutorial world this time around, this one came almost a year after the last, so 4J Studios was certainly slowing down the rate at which they're making these, and I think that's because something much bigger was at play. By the time V8 of the tutorial rolled around, there was a lot of new stuff added to the game, so the tutorial world needed a huge upgrade to reflect those huge additions in the game. And man, did they deliver. This world was gigantic. Once you make it past spawn, you can immediately tell that a lot has changed in Minecraft. Right when you go through the tunnel, you're greeted with fireworks, which was a major feature of the update, as well as horses, which are right next to the entrance. The main area right outside spawn is used as a section for a bunch of small tutorials like redstone, farming, enchanting, breeding. Once you get past that, you follow a bridge that leads you to a big castle, which, like the last world, is based on an actual real-life castle. It's pretty awesome, and the Minecraft version does not disappoint. It even has like the same bridge, but the castle isn't the only thing in the map. If you go all the way to the other side, there's an island with a boat dock next to it. This place to me is a lot cooler than the castle. On the inside there's a ton of rooms with cool stuff in them. A library, swimming pool, empty room, inspiration room, another hidden door that leads to the room of no requirement, They even have 4J Studios' Love Garden, which was a tribute to Stampy Longnose. And that's pretty cool because I think it's the first time that a YouTuber was actually referenced in the game. The garden has a bunch of signs with names on them. Don't know how that one got there. That's actually really crazy. That's pretty weird. I wasn't sure who they were, but I found this old video that explains it.
Today we are playing the tutorial, and we found 4J Studios Love Garden. And these are probably the guys who helped build this amazing, awesome, super cool, amazing tutorial.
Also, besides the island, across the world, there's another huge castle. I'm not sure if this one's based on one in real life like the other, but it's pretty crazy how much effort went into this world. However, after this one, there was an even bigger gap until we got the next tutorial world. We were getting a new tutorial world almost every other update. Now, it was becoming a rare occurrence. And I think part of the reason for that is because 4J was working on more console editions of Minecraft. Around this time, they released and have been working on the PS Vita, the PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One editions of Minecraft, adding a heavy workload to their already frequent updates. Not to mention, a few months before this, Microsoft infamously bought Mojang. This acquisition was not going to be good for the future of the console edition of Minecraft. That brings us to version 9 of the tutorial world. With all the different versions of Minecraft 4J had to work on an update, I honestly don't know how they had time to keep making banger tutorial worlds. This world followed the same pattern as the last by having a main section right outside spawn to have all the tutorials for different little things. Except this one is in a town. A little bit past the town is this really big church with some really cool architecture. Then over here is a huge castle that looks pretty familiar. Although not made from sandstone, it's pretty much a one-to-one remake of the castle in V6. It even has the hidden cave. There's a couple lighthouses around the map, and there's a huge forest section with minecarts throughout it. Right next to that, there's a huge mansion with a giant maze behind it. And in the middle of the maze is one of the 12 hidden discs, because those are still very much a thing. There's a super big cathedral, or at least what's left of it. Over here there's another town that's similar to the one by spawn, and it has a cool river going through it that connects it to this giant water hole thing. So you can jump in it and it takes you to another hidden disc. This map is so big. On survival, I'm sure it would take you forever to explore the whole thing, let alone find every disc. There's a golf course, an orange wall, a mushroom island where you can find the nether portal, and a few more things. I mean, it's actually insane how big it is. I keep saying it, but it's so true. And this one's not even the biggest one. Like, they get crazier. Though these worlds were getting bigger and bigger with each version, they were becoming less frequent as time went on, and the next one we wouldn't see until 15 updates later, with it being the second to last one ever made, before being completely left behind. Even though it took them about a year, it's still impressive because this world was nuts. Sorry if this sounds bad, I'm in my car right now. Even though they kept the shelter the same, the Minecraft sign saw its first major change. And honestly, I'm not really a fan of this one. I like the old one better with the black background, but that's just me. Once you make your way out of spawn, we still have our chests with the first disc outside spawn, and for some reason it has a bunch of steak in it. Not sure what that's about. Past that is the main tutorial area. A new addition to this area is the Elytra section, where it shows you how to fly it, and you get to fly it through these rings. So that is the main area. On the other side of it is this chicken, and that's kind of the theme of this world, is chickens. No, I'm just kidding, but there's a bunch of these stone statues of mobs scattered throughout the world. Like, there's a lot of these things. A lot of these structures have a similar, like, ruin sort of feel, so that's kind of the theme. The section on the mushroom biome is one of my favorites. It reminds me of the Ewok villages in Star Wars, and yeah, I like it. Over here is a bigger version of the Elder Guardian Fortress, which looks awesome. The desert area looks super cool at night. This one actually is probably my favorite. Oh, then there's this place in the jungle that actually looks like the Ewok villages, like a lot more than the other one. And that's pretty much all the big areas in the world. There's a ton of smaller stuff. I mean, there's so much detail in this entire map that I just can't show because the world is that big. But this one is definitely the coolest one yet. But this would be the last tutorial world we would see for a really long time. Nearly 2 years and 23 updates later, V11 finally got released. The reason I think it took this long is because since Microsoft's acquisition of Mojang, they announced the Better Together update, which would let players on Xbox, mobile, VR, and Windows 10 play together by using a different version of the game, otherwise known as Bedrock Edition, which meant that they would phase out the console editions of Minecraft, which would also mean goodbye to our beloved tutorial world and demo. It does make sense though, because with all these different versions of the game, I'd imagine it was super difficult for 4J Studios to keep up with, so switching them all to Bedrock would only mean having to update one. But with all that said, they still had one more tutorial world update they could release before having to essentially throw the console editions in the trash. And man, did they deliver. It sort of has the same vibe as the last world, with it being like an abandoned island with ruins, while still looking really natural. The main area is a big pond with the little areas that teach you about stuff on the perimeter of the pond. They kept an elytra section like the last world, and once you're done with it, you get to fly out of the beginning area between these two statues out into the rest of the world. A lot of it is tropical, like the whole island has a bunch of water going through it, so it's kind of made up of a bunch of little islands, and each one is a different biome. They kept all the statues of mobs, and the landscape in this world is so good. I wish this was just regular Minecraft. It's amazing. There's really not a ton of big buildings, it's mainly just statues and really cool landscaping, but there are some, like the village on the side of this mountain is probably one of my favorites. They also have the Woodland Mansion. I mean, this world is so big and it just looks so good. There's so many small details all throughout it that bring the whole thing together, and it was a great way to end the tutorial world saga. But wait, don't think I forgot about Spawn, because that is where it all started, with this unfinished, abandoned miner's shelter. And that was the last tutorial world. They never made a new one since, and although it wouldn't be made by 4J Studios, I would like to see a Bedrock edition of the tutorial world, but given how long it's been without one, it seems pretty unlikely. So that is the entire evolution of the Minecraft tutorial world / demo, whatever you want to call it. Okay, goodbye.